Voices in the forest at 3 a.m. She never thought one small decision could change everything. When Anya met Rishi, he seemed perfect, charming, kind, and always saying the right things. In a world where trust is rare, she believed she had finally found someone who truly cared. They started as friends, sharing secrets, late-night calls, and moments that felt too real to be fake. Everyone around her noticed the sparkle in her eyes whenever his name came up. Rishi was the kind of guy who made you feel seen, heard, and understood. But sometimes, the ones we trust the most are the ones we should fear. At first, the little things didn't seem like red flags. He'd get upset when she didn't answer quickly, he'd question her friendships, and slowly, she began to feel like she had to explain every move she made. But love can blur the lines between care and control. Anya kept giving him the benefit of the doubt. After all, he always apologized sweetly, promised he'd change, and reminded her how lucky she was to have him. What she didn't know was that Rishi had a side she hadn't seen yet, a side that would soon turn her life upside down. The signs were there, but she ignored them. And by the time she realized what was really going on, it was already too late. What started as a sweet connection turned into something darker, something that made her question everything she believed about love, friendship, and trust. This is a true story, not of violence or dramatic endings, but of emotional twists that left one girl heartbroken and searching for answers. And just when Anya thought things couldn't get worse, something happened that changed it all. You won't believe what she discovered next. Anya had always been the kind of girl who looked for the good in people. Her friends often said she was too trusting, too kind for her own good. But she believed that everyone deserved a chance. So when Rishi entered her life, she didn't overthink it. He came in like a breath of fresh air, always texting first, checking in on her day, sending little surprises that made her smile. At a time when she was feeling alone and unseen, Rishi made her feel important. That's what made everything so confusing later. They had met through a mutual friend at a college event. He was funny, respectful, and had that rare mix of confidence and humility. Within a few weeks, they were talking almost every day. Rishi seemed genuinely interested in her dreams, her family, her past. He listened in a way that made her open up more than she usually would. But slowly, that interest started to feel different. He started bringing up things she'd said in passing, things even she had forgotten, like a casual mention of an old friend or a moment when she didn't reply quickly to a text. At first, it seemed sweet, like he really paid attention. But then he'd question her, "Why did you mention that guy so many times? Are you sure you're over your past?" The questions weren't angry. They were subtle. Soft. Almost caring. But they made her doubt herself. Over time, she noticed he didn't like her hanging out with certain friends. He never said it directly, but he'd always have something negative to say after she did. "They don't really care about you," he'd say. "They talk behind your back. I just want to protect you." Anya started withdrawing from people she once laughed with, people who genuinely cared. Rishi became her whole world, and she didn't even realize it was happening. But then, little things started to feel off. One night, she found her phone logged out of Instagram. When she logged back in, a few messages had been opened that she hadn't seen. She brushed it off, thinking maybe she made a mistake. But then it happened again. And again. There were other moments too, like how he always seemed to know where she was, even when she hadn't told him. He'd show up at places randomly, smiling like it was coincidence. But Anya felt a strange chill each time. Something wasn't right. But she still couldn't put her finger on it. And then, one evening, she stumbled across something on his laptop, something she wasn't supposed to see. And that's when the pieces started falling into place. His screen was still glowing when Anya froze. Her heart skipped a beat. On Rishi's laptop was a folder, tucked away, hidden behind layers of files, but it had her name on it. Out of curiosity, or maybe instinct, she clicked. What she saw made her stomach turn. Screenshots of her chats, old social media posts, even photos she didn't remember ever sharing. Some were cropped, zoomed in strangely. There were notes next to some of them, dates, times, little comments written in a way that didn't feel normal. It wasn't just curiosity. It was tracking. It was control. She quickly shut the laptop before he returned. Her hands were shaking. Her mind raced. How long had he been doing this? How much did he know? And why? The next few days were a blur. Anya tried to act normal around Rishi, but every smile, every word from him now felt heavy. She couldn't unsee what she had found. But she didn't want to confront him, not yet. She needed to understand more. She started digging, slowly and carefully, retracing conversations, looking at her phone settings, checking apps and permissions. That's when she found a strange app installed in the background, one she didn't remember downloading. It looked harmless but was quietly accessing her location and data. Meanwhile, her relationship with her best friend Mira, which had already become distant, took a hit. Mira had always been suspicious of Rishi, but Anya hadn't listened. Now, wanting to reconnect, she tried reaching out, only to find that Mira had blocked her. Confused, Anya created a new account to check, and was shocked to see fake messages posted from her old one. Someone had made it look like she was talking badly about her friends. The more she uncovered, the more trapped she felt. Rishi was always one step ahead. If she smiled too long at someone, he'd bring it up later. If she stayed quiet, he'd act extra kind, like he could sense her slipping away. She began feeling like she was losing her mind, caught between what she knew and what she felt. Was this really happening? Or was she just overthinking everything? But one night, everything changed. A message popped up on her phone. It was from an unknown number. Just one line, "You don't really know who he is." And that's when Anya realized, she might not be the only one. Anya stared at the message for what felt like forever. Her hands were cold, her heart thudding so loud it drowned out the sounds around her. The number wasn't saved, and when she replied, "Who is this? What do you mean?" there was no response. Just silence. She sat there, unsure if she should be scared or relieved that someone else seemed to know something too. That message confirmed it, something was deeply wrong, and it wasn't just in her head. The next day, she couldn't focus on anything. At college, she kept looking over her shoulder, wondering if someone was watching her. Every time her phone buzzed, she jumped. And at home, when Rishi called her and said, "I missed you today," his voice no longer felt comforting. It felt like a warning. That night, she made up her mind. She needed to find out what was really going on. If there were others, people who had been through something similar with Rishi, she had to know. So she went back to the unknown number and tried something else. "Please. If you know something, tell me. I think I'm in danger." Hours passed with no reply. But just after midnight, a photo came through. It was blurry, taken in low light, but the face was unmistakable. Rishi. With another girl. His arm around her, same smile, same look in his eyes, the same one that had made Anya fall for him. The caption below read, "Ask him about Rhea." Anya didn't know who Rhea was. But now she had a name. She started searching, checking old tags on Rishi's social media, going through comments he had once ignored. Finally, she found something. A 2-year-old post, barely visible, almost hidden, where a girl named Rhea had commented, "You always said I was overthinking too." Her profile was private, but Anya still messaged her. "I think I know what happened to you. Please talk to me. I need help." No response at first. But Anya waited. Every second stretched like an hour. Then finally, the typing dots appeared. "He's not who you think he is. Be careful." That was all Rhea said. But it was enough. Enough to make everything real. The controlling behavior, the way Rishi isolated her, the hidden apps, the fake messages, all of it was part of something bigger. And now Anya wasn't just confused. She was scared. She tried talking to her old friend Mira again, but by now, even that felt impossible. Too much damage had been done. Too much silence between them. She felt alone, cornered, like she was in a story where she wasn't the one writing the next chapter. Then came the final straw. Anya walked into her room one evening to find her diary open on her bed. She hadn't left it there. She never left it there. Her hands trembled as she flipped through the pages. Some entries had marks. Red circles. Underlines. Notes in handwriting that wasn't hers. On the last page, someone had written just one sentence, "I told you, I'd always protect you." She dropped the book. Her breath caught in her throat. She wasn't safe. Not in her room. Not in her own life. And Rishi, he knew more than she ever imagined. Anya couldn't sleep that night. The words in her diary kept playing in her mind like a broken record. "I told you, I'd always protect you." It wasn't sweet. It was chilling. It sounded more like a warning than a promise. She knew now that Rishi had crossed a line she never thought he'd even come close to. He had invaded her private space, read her most personal thoughts, and left her a message meant to keep her scared and silent. But something still didn't add up. If Rishi had been watching her so closely, if he had gone to such lengths to manipulate and isolate her, why had he let her see the files on his laptop? Why had she been able to access them so easily that night? It felt too deliberate, almost as if he had wanted her to find them. And that thought terrified her even more. The next morning, her phone buzzed again. Another message. This time from Rhea. "You're not the only one he's done this to." Anya's fingers hovered over the screen. She replied quickly, "Please, tell me everything." What came next shook her to her core. Rhea told her about a group, 4 other girls she'd found over the past year. Each of them had been close to Rishi at different times. All of them had been manipulated in nearly the same way. Emotional control. Isolation. Monitoring. And then, when they began pulling away, strange things would happen, personal messages leaked, social accounts hacked, even family members receiving false information. Anya's breath caught. Rishi wasn't just someone who couldn't let go, he was calculated. Strategic. He created situations that made girls depend on him, then quietly pulled strings behind the scenes to keep them trapped. And Anya had walked right into it, trusting him completely. Ria ended the message with something that made Anya's skin crawl. "We think he's recording people. Conversations, video calls, maybe more. Check your devices. Look for things that don't belong." Heart pounding, Anya grabbed her phone and started looking through her apps, her camera settings, even her files. Then she checked her laptop. Deep in a system folder, she found a small program running in the background, one she'd never seen before. When she opened it, there was no window. Just a log. Audio recordings. Hundreds of them. Labeled by date and time. She scrolled, her hands shaking, and found a file from 2 nights ago. She pressed play. It was her voice. Talking on the phone with Mira, her one last attempt at fixing a broken friendship. She had been in her room. Alone. Or so she thought. And then, the real twist hit her. As she continued scrolling, she noticed one file named test_audio_Mira. Confused, she played it. It wasn't her voice. It was Rishi's. And Mira's. Talking. Laughing. And then, plotting. Her breath stopped. Mira. The one friend she thought she had lost because of him. The one she wanted to trust again. She was in on it. Or at least, she was part of something Anya didn't yet understand. Now, everything was spiraling. The web was bigger than she thought. And Anya was no longer sure who the real enemy was. Anya sat frozen, her heart pounding louder than the recording still playing on her laptop. Rishi and Mira, 2 people she had trusted, were talking like they knew exactly what they were doing. The voices were calm, like it wasn't even wrong. Like it was some kind of game. Mira's voice, once so familiar, felt like a stranger now. "Just keep her close. She'll figure it out soon," she said on the recording, followed by Rishi's quiet laugh. Tears welled up in Anya's eyes, but she forced herself to stay focused. She copied everything, every recording, every screenshot, every message. She didn't know who she could trust anymore, but she knew she had to get out of this fast and smart. She reached out to Ria again and asked for the others. By that night, Anya had joined a private call with 4 other girls. They were from different places, different years, but their stories echoed hers. And they all had one thing in common: Rishi had pulled them in with charm, then used fear and control to keep them quiet. Together, they decided to act. They couldn't let this continue. With the help of one of the girls who knew someone in cybersecurity, they built a case, collected files, traced apps, connected patterns. And then, they reported everything. Not just to the college, but to the right legal authorities. What Anya thought would take months, took only days. Once the school saw proof, they acted fast. Rishi was suspended and pulled into an investigation. And Mira? She denied everything at first, until the recording played. Then her silence said it all. It felt like the end. The storm had passed. Anya was finally free. But just when things began to calm down, she got one last message. No name. No number. Just 5 chilling words: "He was just the start." Anya stared at the screen, her breath catching once again. Somewhere out there, something darker was still unfolding. And her story might only be the beginning. Anya stared at that last message for a long time. He was just the start. It echoed in her mind like a warning, but this time, she didn't feel fear. She felt prepared. Stronger. The version of her from a few months ago would have broken down again, questioned everything, maybe even stayed silent. But now, after everything she uncovered, after finding her voice and standing up not just for herself but for others too, she knew better. Over the following weeks, she worked closely with the other girls, helping the authorities dig deeper. It turned out Rishi had connections, online groups, forums where people shared disturbing methods of emotional control, tracking, and digital manipulation. The deeper they looked, the more they realized he wasn't just acting alone. But he was one of the few who had been caught in time. Mira's role in the whole thing came down to envy. She admitted during questioning that she never expected Anya to fall so deeply for Rishi. What started as a joke between friends, testing how easily someone could be influenced, had gone too far. But by the time she realized it, it was already out of her hands. Mira apologized in a written letter, but Anya chose not to respond. Some things, she decided, are better left behind. As life slowly returned to normal, Anya rebuilt her friendships, started therapy, and focused on healing. She even shared her story anonymously through a support group, where other young women reached out, saying her words made them feel less alone. That was the moment she realized, what happened to her wasn't just about one person or one mistake. It was about learning to trust herself again. She began a blog to talk about online safety, emotional boundaries, and recognizing red flags. It became more than just a way to move on, it became a way to help others stay informed and protected. Looking back, Anya didn't want to erase what happened. As painful as it was, it taught her the most important lesson: sometimes, the people who seem the safest are the ones who wear the best masks. But truth has a way of showing up, quietly, then all at once. And now, even if the story isn't over for others, Anya's chapter had finally come to a close, on her terms.